Game paused.
And welcome back, everyone, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that brutal OSC. Hope you enjoyed that short break as we have returned with the semifinals of Sparkling Tuna Cup number 69, and spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the Polish Protoss player, the pink Protoss, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is ArT. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Protoss player representing his new team, Streamer Zone. It is NightMare. And if you are in the chat, predictions are now open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series. Again, I would favor NightMare in this series, but I also favored Cristiano in his series against ArT, and ArT was able to bring him down 2-0. ArT is a wild card. He is a dark horse coming into this. In a PvP, anything can happen, and ArT definitely has it in him to take it to NightMare. So best of luck. Best of luck in the chat. Best of luck with those predictions. We'll see if the favorite player in NightMare makes it through, or if ArT causes another upset. We shall see. As for now, two gate openers all around. It's going to be 2 gate here out of NightMare, 2 gate out of ArT, and we're settling in. Alright, going to be settling in. From here, our first units of choice can be more aggressive or more defensive here. We could go double Adept, double Stalker, Stalker Sentry, double Sentry, or even Sentry on its own for a faster expansion. So depending on the units of choice, that will kind of dictate how aggressive or how defensive our players want to be. We'll see which one it is. Now just waiting for that Cybercore to finish up. Probe Scouts are coming in. Interestingly enough, NightMare actually skipped his Probe Scout. Bold move. Very bold move out of NightMare. As a result, NightMare, he will have a slightly more efficient start, as he has one extra worker back at home mining, of course. Meanwhile, ArT does not. So slightly more economic here out of NightMare, but he is in the dark. Meanwhile, does open up double Adept. Double Adept opener out of NightMare. ArT opening up Adept Stalker, followed by the Stargate. So with this, ArT, he can actually get into Oracle Harass. I actually really like this from ArT just because NightMare has no idea what's going on. So the Oracles can pop off. I say that, so NightMare, he does follow this up with double Sentry. And NightMare, he actually cancelled one of the Adepts. Okay, I see you. Interesting. Okay, so a lot just happened. That's crazy. So NightMare, he cancels the Adept, so he only makes one with the extra money. He actually throws down a much faster expansion, so very early Nexus out of NightMare, a little bit later out of ArT, so slightly more greedy here from our blue Protoss. Follows it up with Sentries to scout across the map. And the Adept does shade into the main. Probes are going down and gets a full scout anyway. 3 probe kills already, getting up to 4 probes. Oh, this is far too much. 4 probes go down, getting almost a 5th probe towards the end. 5 probe kills. Ay. Yeah, brutal damage early on. ArT moving out with his Oracle, but alas, I mean, the Oracle's been scattered, forced to spend energy as well. NightMare, he has time to respond, time to react. Shield battery is done. And NightMare, he is ready. Again, one Oracle doesn't really do much at all when there's a shield battery involved. Hallucination will scout, will confirm. NightMare's in position, does deflect. Now, thankfully, ArT, he will keep this Oracle alive. Even though the first Oracle hasn't done much, there is now a second Oracle. And 2 Oracles, they can one-shot probes. So if NightMare is out of position at any moment, even with the shield battery, NightMare, he can pop up. He can still deal damage. Sorry, ArT can still deal damage. Falls back to the Stalkers. Building up more Oracles. Behind this, taking into Blink, both players at least. And NightMare so far has an economic lead. Remember, NightMare, he had a faster expansion, and he had those probe kills earlier. So NightMare is ahead. Pressure's on ArT instead here. To get damage done, dips in, Stalk's in position. One of the Oracles is going to go down, and this is not a worthwhile trade for ArT. He gets 3 probe kills, which is good, but he lost the Oracle, which sets him behind. Now he's down to 1. Third base being taken by NightMare. This is a little bit greedy. We'll see if he can get away with it. ArT has the potential to respond with hyper aggression. That's a lot of stalkers that have been massing up back at home, as ArT did throw down a third gateway. ArT, of course, waiting for Blink. Blink is still on the horizon here. Still on the way. And we'll see if he can get there, as ArT is taking a much later third. NightMare does confirm there's no 2-base all-in. He gets eyes on the third Nexus. Likewise, he gets eyes on the Stalker army as well. So NightMare, he is aware he's down in Stalkers, but he has shield batteries. One at the third, one at the natural. He has the overcharge as well. Sentries for Horse Fields. And Guardian Shield. Defensively, NightMare should be fine. He is saturating his third. And from here, it looks like things are going to settle down. You know, ArT, he doesn't really have as much aggressive potential anymore. NightMare is just focusing on defending. So we're building up, getting to our upgrades, taking up as well. NightMare has faster +1, he has faster charge, he's getting to charge Archon eventually, working towards charge or Archon immortal composition. I'm curious if ArT is headed in a similar direction. He is not! Geralt, is that you? Let's go! Something that Geralt does very often in PvP is skip Archons and go straight into Disruptors instead. So bold move. Hallucination doesn't quite scout. That is a second rover at the bay. Working towards double Disruptor production. And I believe NightMare is in the dark. Yeah, NightMare, he doesn't scout. So as a result, there's going to be a window. There's going to be a period where ArT is actually quite vulnerable to NightMare before the Disruptor production begins. But NightMare hasn't scouted and NightMare doesn't know. Instead, he's taking a fourth. So NightMare, he's just focusing on his economy for the time being. War Prism is on the way. That is the first sign of NightMare moving out. But it might be too late as, well, actually, initially, Colossus production first is a little bit safer for ArT. Likewise, throwing down just a field of stasis traps. You double Colossus production, then into Disruptors. If you're curious, Colossus, they do have their place in PvP. They can do very well specifically against gateway units like Stalkers and Zealots. There's NightMare with the Hallucination Probes. He does bait out the stasis traps. Very nicely done. More Zealots have arrived, and the Colossus are not ready. Colossus are not ready. Nice stasis does pop off. Takes down the Zealots. Stalkers pushing in. Zealots are stuck behind the stasis ones. But there's the overcharge. And ArT, it looks like he should be able to hold on. Overcharge runs out, so the Zealots. Colossus has arrived. And with the help of the Colossus, ArT, he should be able to hold on. It's going to be close. Zealots, they do break out of stasis. Oh, he dives in, he gets one. One Colossus goes down, more Zealots are funneling in. And NightMare, does he have enough? It looks like he barely does. He breaks through the defensive line. GG gets called, takes down both Colossus, and NightMare takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Very decisive move there by NightMare. We mentioned there was that small window. If you remember how ArT was vulnerable before he was able to get into, at the time I said, Disruptor production. Likewise here, Colossus production. ArT, he needed a little bit more time to get into his Colossus and eventually Disruptors as well. Alas, NightMare, he hit just before the Colossus and just as they were popping out, and did break in before ArT could really get into his own game, can really get into his own tech. GG, well played. NightMare does take a lead, and now we're jumping into game number 2. Whew. GG. Again, just a very decisive attack from NightMare. It was then and there. Otherwise, he would have been forced into a longer game state, and he would have fallen behind tech-wise as Colossus, as they built up, and as more robo-based units kind of get into the mix as well. NightMare would have been outscaled. Now we're getting into game number 2. NightMare needs one more to advance on to the grand finals. ArT has to fight back here and now to force the ace match. Here we go. Meanwhile, looks like we have an update for the upper semis. Trigger takes down Geralt 2-1. Went to the A smash. Once again, it goes all the way to game 3. But a shout out to Trigger as he does advance on to the semifinals where he's going to be facing off against Bjorn. And they should be waiting for us. I believe they're over on the Korean server. Trigger, he is living in South Korea. He's been there for a couple of months at this point. Bjorn, likewise as well. And we'll be jumping into the upper semis after we wrap up here. We will get there. Here we go. I'm also getting my VPN ready, so when we head on over to the Korean server, I can just quickly turn that on, hopefully. Oh yeah, jumping into that second game. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Golden Hour, we have our pink Polish Protoss player representing the Platinum Heroes down in the series. We'll see if we can bounce back. It is ArT. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss, representing Streamer Zone. Onomas, one more is all he needs to make it to the grand finals. It is NightMare. See in the chat, dive bombing the Colossus takes a lot of cojones, papi. You're not wrong. It was a very bold move by NightMare when he blinked in. He went for the patience blink. It was crazy. No fear, papi. No fear. But for now, we're settling in. Once again, 2 gate openers. Now, we did see that NightMare did spice things up last game where he went double Adept, cancelled an Adept, and actually threw down a very cheeky, very fast second Nexus, which put a lot of pressure on ArT. We'll see if he does something similar. We'll see if this time NightMare commits to the double Adept. As in game 2, it does make sense. NightMare this time is scouting. He's moving out with his probe. Remember, in game 1, NightMare, he skipped the probe scout. He wasn't punished for it. And this time, he might be, as ArT is throwing down the pylon elsewhere outside of the main. Now, as we can see, it is a fake proxy pylon. It is designed to try to get into the head of NightMare and try to force an overreaction. But I do like this. I like this in game 2, considering that NightMare skipped a scout in game 1. So it's kind of the mind games that are coming into play. Now coming in. NightMare, he scouts, he confirms. Hold up. Where's your second pylon? What's going on? What exactly is happening? As NightMare, he has his own second pylon in the main. Third pylon in the main base as well, a little bit further back. And NightMare is scouting. Now, based on his scouting pattern, it looks like he will find the pylon eventually. Actually, quite shortly. So NightMare, he can breathe easy. He's opening up double Stalker. And NightMare will confirm. He gets eyes on the pylon. Realizes that nothing too crazy is going on. Now, NightMare, he did send out a second probe. So, this is a little bit more inefficient for the blue Protoss. 2 probe scouting when there's nothing to scout. Meanwhile, NightMare going for a 3rd and 4th Stalker and for a Stargate as well. Okay, very aggressive here. Basically, NightMare, he is heavily delaying the expansion. ArT, he's already got his own. His own Nexus is already on the way. NightMare just now gets thrown down. But the reason why this was delayed, again, is in favor of Oracles and more Stalkers. So NightMare is going to be the aggressor this time early on. We'll see if ArT can keep up. Hallucination moves out. Now, ArT, he can compare the timing of the Nexus with his own, so he knows that the Nexus of NightMare is later. And there we go, he confirms the Oracle production. So ArT is aware, ArT is getting ready. Setting up in the main. Likewise, Stalkers, they hit the natural base, but ArT is keeping up. He has plenty of Stalkers, 5-4. Does defend. Oracle into the main base. ArT, he has units in position. Hallucinated Stalkers, let's go. ArT, he's ready, or at least he looks ready. And ArT is hoping that that is going to be enough to deflect NightMare. NightMare, he does try to find a way in, but he is zoned away. So far, good defense. Ooh. Stalkers in the natural. NightMare is pinned back, and ArT takes a worker lead. So very nicely done. ArT is up in probes. Get a faster expansion. The Oracles have not done enough damage. Not yet. Not so far. And ArT has a lead. Does get supply blocked, which is brutal. One probe goes down. 2 pylons on the way. Oh, this is quite a hefty supply block actually for ArT. So NightMare is gonna he's actually gonna catch up. He's catching up in probes because of the supply block. Aye, that should not have happened. Third base now gonna be on the way. And NightMare is recovering. He's going to be recovering. ArT scouts the main. Confirms Blink is on the way. No faster Robo. No Dark Shrine. Oracle gets a second probe. Does get a somehow he gets out. Somehow, some way. The Oracle does get out of the main. 3 probe kills. Not bad. Ooh, meanwhile, I actually like this. So something that we pointed out. What does NightMare not have? Robo. There is no Robo. There is no detection. At least no constant detection for NightMare. He can morph in a second Oracle. He has Revelation. That is true. Does have a Revelation. The Oracle did survive. But that is not as reliable here to scout and shut down DTs. The Dark Shrine was thrown down after ArT scouted the main. So very nice response. We'll see if the DTs can get across the map in time. As NightMare is now going for the Robo with the natural. Meanwhile, NightMare, he hits the third. He's pushing in, going for the shield battery. Nice pick off. Shield battery goes down. NightMare gets the hell out. Does get the hell out of there. Does pull away. And this Dark Shrine, it might just be too late as a response. We'll see. The pylon is set up across the map. Dark Shrine is finishing up. Does finish up. DTs can now warp in. And do we have detection back at home? There we go. Observer is already on the way. So unfortunately, this was just a little bit too late here for ArT. DTs are waddling in. So far unscattered. The Observer does spot them. Yeah, one DT goes down. The other gets trapped at the wall. More DTs on the way. Getting into the mineral line. Doesn't get a probe. May not be pushing towards the third, but so far this just hasn't been worth it for ArT. Yeah, we get the Revelation. Stalkers, they hit the fourth, but NightMare is in position. ArT gets 3 probe kills, 3 probes for 3 DTs. Not worth it for the pink Protoss. And now NightMare's counterattacking. He's moving out. Miss rally. No! 3 Stalkers. 3 Stalkers get caught. GG gets called. Too many losses, and NightMare will take a 2-0 lead. Will take the series 2-0. GG. More of a sudden end here to game 2. Game 1 was more intense, was very intense, and was very a little bit closer when it came to ArT taking into his Colossus and trying to get ahead from there. But here in game 2, a little bit less so. GG, well played. NightMare advances on to the grand finals. GG. Again, NightMare, he shut down the DTs. He was able to pop off with his Oracle Harass as well. He was able to catch up in the early game to the worker count, of course, of his opponents, and yeah, did snowball from there. Just some rough little missteps and rough little mistakes there from ArT. In the end, NightMare, he proved too much, and will be our first finalist of the night. He will be our first finalist. And now we are heading over to the Korean server to jump into our second semifinals. Here we go. Jumping into the second semis. It's going to be a PvP between Bjorn and Trigger. Let's go. You just need a moment to set things up and to jump on over.